Yo, peace and black power. It's your brother Knowledge Born Alive. Do the Knowledge Radio. The place where knowledge is born.
Knowledge Radio.
This is 3K.
Think Tank.
This is 3K.
Hey.
This is 3K.
I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. Who ran, who ducked, who drew down, return fire. We're the warriors, the healers, enlighteners, enlighten us. I'm tired of the same old, that game old with an upgrade. I'm a sunbathed in the sun rays while my guns blaze and they come plain. Devil, my level not attainable. My metal, not malleable. I'm a man, didn't need that manual. Reparations is incalculable. Yeah, we wanted in blood, dead in the begging, heading to beheading, metal to the meddling. Members is aggressive, getting to the Armageddon. Karma, see karma when it comes to retribution. Caliber, catalyst in my clips and I use them on traitors and haters and the ones that spread confusion. Cause the devil's playground wasn't built for our amusement. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. Impenetrable armor, Orient aura. This story, this saga get gory before it get calmer. Keep holding that revolutionary posture. 85 gon' dip and dodge it, but when they get monster, they turn into MC like earrings and become door knockers. I'm irate, they pirate the culture, send them to Davy Jones' locker. It's okay. Let them think that you lost it. Be patient, this type of thing you can't force it. Play possum, but nah, not know about the road that they can't comprehend cause the language is coded. We plan ideas and we plan explosives. Make your pockets go for more bits or more bread. The portal done open, they can't close it. You ain't got a sideline, you could cause more risk. No set birth date, no Dorian Gray portraits. It's about to get ugly and these devils can't forfeit. Ancestral memory, so no, I won't forget. What we building is an impenetrable fortress for sure. Every show is just like a course ship, and my flow for sure tighter than your gal's corset. It's okay. We are the source, you can't outsource it. Even Spartans don't want no parts, never. What do you know? Before you know it, 3,000 wild Africans at your doorstep. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. No, we will not cower while the rest they play safe. We will move with God's power. This is not for play. Honor my ancestors, play the Orient day. Peace to you, loved ones, stay dangerous and stay safe. AKAs and AKs coming to make their caves cave. Wreck the race like take case, stay dangerous and stay safe.
Brothers just walk up on me and they're just like, you know, you can just see the hunger in their eyes. Like as soon as you know what I mean? They was like, yo, you know, we agree and we think that you would fuck with us, and you know, I'm telling you, like, we nice and just give us a fucking chance type of shit, you know?
All right, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place where knowledge is born. It's your host, Knowledge Born Alive, here for part 2. Okay, we had a dope session, even though I was not technically there, but I was there at the same time. It was dope. The dialogue was dope, so I'm ready to get back to it. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce and present to others this divine mother, this divine wife, this divine black love advocate, this black family advocate, and this restorative cultural continuity between the genders and between the race. The one, the only, my warrior sister, Empress Eshe is in the building. How you doing?
Oh man, my intro was always the bomb when I come on here, man. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here. Okay.
My bad.
That's what's up.
Good to see you. Glad you are back. And
absolutely, we had to make sure we had a part 2 to this one.
For real. Yes. Now, I always talked about, before we get into the ancient I always talked about your multiplicity of skills. Okay, so I wanted to give the people a little sample of the skillets that I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't want to just be bragging. They be like, "Oh no, I ain't never heard that. Who is that? And who she thinks she is?" All of that, right? So, if it's all right with you, I give them a quick sample and we get into this discussion. All right? You
Okay.
ready? So, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
we introduce Phoenix Fire.
Don't mess with my quilombo, my mambo's ready to rumble. My magic mixed with mystery, shaking your world like thunder. And don't test my quilombo, my enemies I got tumble. My warriors is gangster, the opposition will crumble. Don't mess with my quilombo, my mambo's ready to rumble. My magic mixed with mystery, shaking your world like thunder. And don't test my quilombo, my enemies I got tumble. My warriors is gangster, the opposition will crumble.
Don't touch my quilombo, I'm pulling up on a humble. Don't fumble and make me rumble, then knock your ass, give you trouble. I come with D-Ray and I'm blasting away, and I'm testing your strength while I'm stepping away. Bless my Ori, my ancestors know me, ain't no question I'm free when I step to them beat. Got them rat-tat-tats with shot-tat-tats, we coming by, drive by with fast car vibes, spitting high bar vibes with all black lives to make your ass lip sing. Your energy good, then we clearing away. Sage in the hood, we gon' be okay. No Rugos can come here today. We walk in the Hoover, we want all the fake.
Don't mess with my quilombo, my mambo's ready to rumble. My magic mixed with mystery, shaking your world like thunder. And don't test my quilombo, my enemies I got tumble. My warriors is gangster, the opposition will crumble. Don't mess with my quilombo, my mambo's ready to rumble. My magic mixed with mystery, shaking your world like thunder. And don't test my quilombo, my enemies I got tumble. My warriors is gangster, the opposition will crumble. You know how high my empire flying. Don't come through wildin', got the fire lit. I'm coming with lions, we don't come outly. You watching, we in likeness to Zulu. Some say Wakanda, partner, don't come for me while my king watching. He beat a rock and sockin'. I'm taking this up a octave while haters clocking. Quilombo be a flock of hot riders, the flames is popping. Double axis flashes of lightning. You keep your Uzis. We me got rituals loaded, don't owe these floozies. Got the magic in our hands, we dancing, crystals and crowns getting loud. Lacking proud is too mighty to not expound. Don't know what you bring, but this queen is entering as a goddess. Yeah, the hotness honey combo couldn't possibly stop. Don't mess with my quilombo, my mambo's ready to rumble. My magic mixed with mystery, shaking your world like thunder. And don't test my quilombo, my enemies I got tumble. My warriors is gangster, the opposition will crumble.
Oh yeah.
Okay. In case y'all thought I was playing around. Like, all right, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Definitely one of my joints, the discography pretty deep, so I had to pick something that they could see.
Oh yeah. And y'all wait 2025. I got some new stuff coming. Me and my husband making some new music right now. As a matter of fact, Umar Johnson coming to Cincinnati. We actually opening up. So we definitely got some new stuff coming out this year too. So
dope. All right.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is right there. For real. So yeah. I was looking over your channel. Your channel is amazing. New voice. It's dope. Okay, my new voice it's dope. I was binge watching. I got caught up. I was like, I'm supposed to be doing something, but
that's what I always hope will happen.
Your journey in regards to this so far, testing the waters. What you think has been one of your most controversial videos and the videos where you got the most engagement? Like people was hitting you up like, I don't know about all that one. Let me tell you this, all that. If you had to, direct us to something.
So far, the one that I got the most engagement on and the most opposition on, was the one that I did about the whole Fat Joe thing. The people who consider themselves to be FBA, they really kind of came hard for me on that one. I kind of took a very Pan-African stance on that, not because I stand behind Fat Joe necessarily. Fat Joe, he does his thing or whatever, but more than anything, I guess my message had more so to do with Black people in all parts of the world kind of coming together based on the premise of being of African descent. But they was not on me, man. Like I had people tell me all kind of stuff, and it was funny because I be saying like wagwan and stuff like that. People thought I was from like the Caribbeans and stuff. So they was like, "You're not even from here. You are not even from here. You need to go like back to where you from." And I was just getting weak because I was like, "Y'all don't even know." But like, if I had to say like any one of my videos that I got the most backlash on, it had to be that one.
Deep, boy, I'm telling you.
So apparently I'm from Jamaica.
Apparently, somewhere in the Caribbean, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently,
So
right.
yeah, that's easily the most controversial one, I'll say.
So did it catch you off guard? Like, how did you was it just funny? Like, what was it?
It didn't catch me off guard at all. Not at all, because I think you number one, I expected to catch a lot of backlash because that particular topic at that time was very controversial. But a lot of times in my life I have had to face backlash. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I have had to learn how to get through it. So it don't really bother me. I think in a lot of instances when you face backlash and when you have people that, have a problem with what you say, a lot of times it's because it hit a trigger because it might be true. So that's how I look at it.
That's what it is. So how do you want to start? You want to ask a question first? You want me to ask a question? Because they ain't count. I was just being nosy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the one thing that I want to start with, before we get into anything deep, because I do got some deep questions, but before anything else, I want to know what your take is on the whole Kendrick halftime show, because there's been a lot of interpretations. And I guess I want to know what your interpretation was and what you think about, about that as far as his halftime show, as far as the symbolisms and everything that was inside of it.
Yeah. Kendrick is a Gemini. Shout out to the Gemini crew. Like, I don't know. The performance, I think it was a great opportunity for him because he basically set the world ablaze and had it in a chokehold, whether you like it or you don't like it, for like the last 8 or 9 months. So that was like the smartest choice in the world. Smartest choice in the world. Another great opportunity. He never ceases to amaze me with his showmanship and with his pageantry. Like he puts on shows. Like if you go back and watch those BT Awards and things like that, the thing that he did with the song, on a multitude of levels, it was a win. It was a win for content creators. It was a win for a whole bunch of people that was out there because we were able to utilize that song with no restriction. Yeah. So the fanfare, something that spanned across generations, it was kids that took to it, grown people, extra grown people. It was all of that was going on, and then using that momentum going into June, going into his birthday month, 2 days after his birthday, right? Performing at the Juneteenth, performing on Juneteenth, doing that video on Juneteenth. So again, maximizing momentum and then he gets named at this Super Bowl performance, and then people had a problem with that from the beginning. They in Louisiana. What about Lil Wayne? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All of those things, right? So through all of that, get to the Grammys, right? A week before the performance,
Right.
walk away with 6 Grammys, right? And then does this performance. So I think all of the hoopla, I think it was like the greatest buildup in the world, right? To the point where the new president used the same momentum at this, around the same time. There was no surprise about that, right? So again, the same sort of love hate, quote unquote, more hate than love relationship that they had with Kendrick, they had with this guy, right? So it won him an election, quote unquote, right? And it won this guy, like, so it came along with it. It was something about that energy that it was there where it was unstoppable. So if you add the other little stuff to it, then it just made it all the more intelligent, more creative. So that was my
Yeah.
thought. As far as the symbolism goes, it wasn't something real deep. It was kind of in your face. You see
Yeah.
them kind of in your face. The situation with reparations and all those things that are on the table. It's not like he brought anything new to light. He brought these things that's on the table that's out there already. You see what I'm saying? There's an issue with young black women, young black children, young black boys being trafficked. That was addressed. That's out there. You understand? And the things that are issues, they're out there, and he didn't shy away from them like many of the other ones who have something to say about what he did or didn't do have done. You see what I'm saying? So that's my short take on it.
Okay. Yeah, I've definitely been seeing a lot of different takes on it and everything. What was interesting to me, of course, black people are loving it. A lot of black people are loving it. I do think there's a percentage of black people who are saying, well, it was boring and everything like that. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, to be honest with you, with him being a hip hop artist, he's not necessarily a dancer. He's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but I think that he always has showmanship, and he
Right.
definitely brought that, right? I like that he had Samuel Jackson on stage. I like, what he was doing with that character. I ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna lie to you. I think it brought a sort of, like, black people when they see Samuel Jackson, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
with anything. But I
Right.
think the whole Uncle Sam character was interesting. Um, like you said, a lot of it was not necessarily hidden. It was more so in your face. So I like the fact that he did that, though. I like the fact that it was in your face. It wasn't something you have to kind of sit and study for hours to understand. Um, the whole thing with the Not Like Us build up was very interesting because um the whole thing with him having Serena out there, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Like, that has been a big thing, but I think people thought he wasn't gonna be as bold as he was. Um because the whole thing with having Serena out there, from what I understand, she had a situation with Drake or whatever, and he tried to get at her. She wasn't trying to be with him or whatever. So he got mad and, started talking about her and everything. So it's kind of like he had a lot of those type of things in there too, where he was like, really being very bold with that song as well. And I kind of like that also. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Because I think that there was a lot surrounding that, but I liked his overall performance. I thought that he really put a lot into it this year, and I think he deserved that spot. I get what everybody was saying as far as Lil Wayne and everything, but I think that nobody could have represented the way that he did.
Right. And it's a business, and it's a build up. So they pick the people who are out
Yeah,
one way or another, or
yeah,
whatever they
period.
do. And yeah, so I mean, it just made sense. It made sense. Yeah.
All right, brother Tag, you're it. You the next question. So what's going on?
All right. So, growing up in a Pan African household slash Black conscious household, how was it for you interfacing over the years? Did it become easier for you when you kind of went out in the general public and you know in that environment? Like, so did your household match your environment, or what was it like for you in those instances? And did you have anything that you had to kind of reconcile?
Hmm. With the type of household that I grew up in, it was definitely a culture shock
Mm,
when I left the household that I was in. And I always say that I wish that my family had, when I was younger, took us out to the jungle and just had us living in the jungle or something like that. Because it was so much of a stark difference. I feel like by the time I got to be grown, I was 20 by the time that I left my parents' house. And I felt very underprepared for what I faced. I felt like I had no idea what I was walking into. Um, I felt very naive. I felt like once I got around people, you know how like you're the one in there that's never watched a certain movie and everybody's like, "You've never seen this?" Like it was like that, but it was like times 10. You know what I'm saying? So to be honest with you, I had all the information, but I had none of the experience. So to be honest with you, as far as it relates to that, it was hard because I had to learn a lot on my own once I did get on my own. Um, so growing up in a Pan African household, I was able to attain a lot of information. I was able to study a lot of lectures. I was able to read a lot of books. But once it came down to a lot of the stuff that I had to do, once I was not in that environment and I was in a more general environment, I had to learn a lot of stuff by myself. So, yeah.
So I guess the sub question is now that you know, does that affect per se your parenting style? And for those who are Pan African parents or pro Black parents, is there some sort of balance or some sort of insight you could give to them based on that experience?
I would say inform your children on as much as you can, which means that you can raise your children and say, these are the things that I want you to have, the values that I want you to have, but also understand, you know what I'm saying, that when you go around Black people in general, they may not understand this and it doesn't make them stupid. You know what I'm saying? It may make them uninformed, but being able to relate to your people, even if they not Pan African, even if they not, you know what I'm saying, inside of this information, being able to navigate in the world, even if it isn't, inside of this, because sometimes you can go to so much of an extreme that then your child can be underprepared for a lot of things that they may face, or stay inside of that extreme. You know what I'm saying? Go somewhere isolated where you can keep that and you can build up that lifestyle. Because I've known people who do that as well. You know what I'm saying? People who do go back to Africa or they go back to a lot of these indigenous places and they create their lifestyles, to where their children can be isolated from a lot of that stuff. They can, build communities and everything like that. But that's not always everybody's reality. And if it isn't going to be a reality, if you're still going to have to be interfacing in American culture and everything, then giving your child the understanding of how to deal with it, because it can be hard. once you are that naive adult, that's, you know what I'm saying, in a lifestyle that you have no idea about, and you kind of have to learn how to function. So
Definitely, 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 definitely right there. Whew. Drop a
yeah,
bomb for that.
absolutely.
All right. So it's your turn, man.
Oh man, okay. So, have you heard about the neo-Nazi appearances that they've been having in Cincinnati, but also in these past couple of years in different parts of Ohio? Because I live in Cincinnati, like I think pretty much we heard about it first, but it's been a big thing, and even it's been on the news and everything. And what is your take on how people are responding to it?
I think it's more reaction more so than response, but I will salute the response that I saw. I will salute wholeheartedly the response that I saw. I saw
Mm,
a response that we know what that means. You understand? Like I love to see that, and um, I think that folks need to wake up and kind of realize, what's really going on out here, because these things are happening under the cover of lightness and in the cover of darkness. So this is a reality. This is the part of the training that we grew up in that was true. You understand? Like so when other folks get a little glimpse of it, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's not the part where you like, oh, I wasn't prepared for this. Ain't nobody telling me about this. Like,
mm,
yeah, we lived this part of it. The other part internally might be a little different, but this part, this is something that we grew new. This is something we came to the planet with. So yeah, I just think that you know folks get a little too comfortable with certain things. Creature comforts and,
right.
and the like have you kind of off kilter, off balance. You understand? Like so, folks is coming for what they stole. All right, folks is coming for what they control. So all they need is a perceived notion and be able to do it. And then again, they got somebody in position that's gonna come get their people off. You understand what I'm saying? They got somebody in position that's gonna come get their people off, no matter what happens, no matter how long it takes. Somebody gonna come get them, or they taken care of under the cover of darkness. So again, if you think that this place is anything other than what it is, you're confused. So yeah, I have to salute the response that I saw, and then kind of look at the reaction a little different. You know what I'm saying? Like look at it a little more closely.
Absolutely. I think that's interesting too, because and I think I'll say I definitely understand the reaction that I saw, right? Because I understand people's knee jerk reaction to something so extreme, because it was something extreme. You know what I'm saying? It was something extreme. It was not subtle. It was very extreme. Um, but I think that it was a reaction. You know what I'm saying? And that reaction, that knee jerk reaction, um, I think there's still a lot to be thought about as it relates to that whole thing, because looking at the situation, what that means is that there's a lot more organization that we have to do. You know what I'm saying? Because what that means is that if this is so much of a, something that's riling everybody up, I think what we have to do then is say, okay, let's organize. And I've seen some people in the area who are now, creating organized reactions or responses to this now, but what it means, like you said, we got too comfortable. And with that being the case, now there's so much more, that has to be done. I noticed that there's people who are actually calling, talking to the police or whatever and saying, hey, why was y'all defending them? Or they saying, we feel like y'all didn't give enough of a response. So they're actually having city hall meetings, I believe, where they're actually talking to, the government and stuff in that area and talking about that. But also there's people who are organizing on different levels also, and who are trying to create different responses to this. So, if anything, I know there are some people saying like this got to be staged. There's a couple people saying this was kind of extreme. I don't know if this is real, right? Well, I'll say this. I don't know if it was staged or not, but I would say that as it relates to us not being comfortable, us coming out of that comfortability in order to be able to get into the organization and really begin to make real strides towards being able to protect our people against stuff like this. It's kind of like, even if it was fake, you know what I'm saying, then this is what we needed to be able to come together, because there's a lot of petty stuff that people been arguing about, you know what I'm saying, instead of focusing on important stuff. So
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Sheesh. Yes, yes, yes.
you got the next question.
All right. So I heard this word utilized a lot more than I heard in the past 10 years.
Hmm.
In the RBG community now, it's kind of festered its way back in, and it's more heavily used, and it's not my cup of tea. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on. It's 2025. I'm writing a book and a documentary, and I went through the entire Black Pantheon, right? And I was like, is there a subsection of our people that don't use it? And I'm like, all right. I went through the spiritual community, right? From
Hmm.
from start to end. I was like, oh, okay. Just start to end. The the Hebrews, the Moors, the Wahabians, the Christians, the Muslims, the vegan, the pork eater, whoever it was, right, through the pantheon. And I was like, no matter what it was, whether they got the Dr. Sabi diet, they alkaline, they floating around on crystal beds or whatever it was, to, the folks that's down deep, that's the revolutionary, that's the Pan-African nationalist, the African centered folks, wherever we went through, and I observed, I heard them referring to each other and themselves as the N word, and some of the folks taught the women as the B word. So in 2025, with all of this information that folks have had, and all of these lifestyle changes and alignments, for you, what you think is the root cause of us to still refer to ourselves as the N word and the B word?
Hmm. Um, Familiarity. I think that a lot of the times we hold on to something and we even use it as a beacon of, we crown ourselves with it. We try to convince ourselves that we use it because we're taking it back. You know what I'm saying? We try to convince ourselves that we use it because, yeah, we're reclaiming it. Um, so I think that really it's one of those things where you can trick somebody into liking what they once hated by convincing them that they're powerful by using it. You know what I'm saying? So those words are ones that, like the B word, right? I'll just say this. It's funny because, women would have been insulted by being called that because that's something that's an insult, right? But then you convince women that they powerful by calling themselves that. We're taking back our power by saying that about ourselves, right? Because all you have to do is put boss in front of it. Or you can put, you know what I'm saying, like words in front of it that trick this person into believing that now it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the same with the N word. It's kind of like, yeah, but they forced you to call yourselves that now. You know what I'm saying? You can choose to call yourself that, and it's kind of like now you can trick yourself into believing that it's a good thing. You know, the crazy part about it is that we will go back through history and find justification of this and say, well, in Kemet, we called ourselves Negus and we called ourselves, and it's like, yeah, but nobody's calling themselves that though. So you can try to take it and use that as justification, but at the end of the day, that's not what people are calling themselves. So that's my take on that. I really don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my take on that. And really what it's become is words that people use. And really, to be honest with you, black people hold on to the N word because they don't feel like they powerful enough to develop anything else. Because to be honest with you, that's the only thing they can hold on to say that, well, if somebody says it, we can say that they're trying to be insulting towards us or whatever. And it's kind of like, to be honest with you, it's all in the music. It's all in, the hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? So really, can we be mad at anybody else for calling us that when we call ourselves that? I mean, you tell me.
That's the purpose of the book and the documentary, to get folks' thoughts,
Yeah,
And we use a word like coming together, we use words like unity. You're not going to unify with somebody you demean. You can say whatever you like to say about it, right? You're not going to come together purposefully with anybody you demean. And you can take me back to Kemet, you can take me to Wakanda, you can take me to Wakamton. All of that is fine until you're upset with me. And now you want war with me. And you could utilize the same word to harm me in front of my family or harm me and my family with no regard to human life. You understand? So no different than those neo Nazis that you seeing walking around. These same folks are walking around with the same mind, and the same veracity. So, all it takes is a halftime show or somebody rooting for the wrong team, right? We find ourselves in position always rooting for the wrong team, right? Well, regardless of what the uniform is, right? We're not uniform. We're not operating in unison. And then we say we want unity, right? Unity of purpose, unity of principle. Why would I unify with somebody who seeks to call me subhuman, right? To call me property, because this is what they called their property, the things that they own. That was the word that they used as a blanket word to describe what they own,
that's true.
right? What they own, what they hated, what they reviled, and what they would kill on sight. So when we upset with one another and we use that same word in a vile manner, and we don't care nothing about no human life, and we'll take a N word or a B word life with no regard to that, how can it still be endearing, right? How can it still be endearing? So it's just interesting. And again, the purpose of the book, the purpose of the documentary is to present a balanced perspective. I heard folks talk about their children in that way. Them little N words. You understand? Or that little beast smelling herself. Or like where like there's no boundary. Like there's nothing or nobody off limits. And then with this refining process that folks have went through, you refined everything. Like they'll tell you that Ma'afa didn't happen, right? Or it happened in reverse, but they still call you the N-word. They'll tell you, hey, we're not black. Black is a misnomer, has no standing in law, but still call you the N-word. You understand? So
Right,
it's
right.
so whatever this epidemic or pandemic or however you want to call it in regards to it, it used to be a space where you would come to refine yourself or to get into who you truly are, whatever your cultural roots is, or whatever space of self-sovereignty or nationalism, now comes to a place of disgrace. There are folks that ain't gone under none of that study. I'll be like, hey, fam, that's not me. They'll be like, oh, my bad. you come over here, they'll be like, oh, this N-word don't want to be called it. Like, you understand? Like, so it's just literally all of that where it goes to how these things are presented. So, just one of those things that I wanted to ask because it's out here. The data is out here, right? So your turn, man.
All right. Okay, so my next question is this. During Kendrick's performance, there was, and this didn't get a lot of attention, this only came out after the fact. There was somebody waving the Sudanese and the Palestinian flag during his performance. And some Black people felt like, they was upset by that because they like, well, can't Black Americans just have our struggle? Why do people have to, basically wave their flag also? Or why do they have to, be a part of our struggle, I guess? And I guess what I want to ask is, what is your take on that? What is your take on Black Americans feeling like they don't want anybody else's struggle to be side by side or parallel with our struggle?
One of the things that I agree with that Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, learned from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. All our studies, history is most qualified and most attractive to reward our research. So when you look at the experience that happened here, that happens here, and will continue to happen here in Black America, is very nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
So in the space of organization, we've watched the people who were stolen and brought here and left here for dead, right? Experience something that nobody else experienced on the planet, right? You could use the blanket term slavery, but that doesn't describe what happened to the African here in America. So there are other places in the Caribbean, there's other places around the earth where this thing has happened, is happening, and will happen, but not to the degree that it happened here. So now, when you align yourself in the space to where you begin to look at yourself and your condition, and then you see your interactions with everybody who comes from every place else and how they look at you, right? They look towards you one way in a capitalistic sense, and then they look at you as a less than sense. When you begin to organize yourself and say, hey, we want to deal with our own plight, you dealt with everybody's plight on the planet. Everybody. There's nobody on the planet whose plight you haven't dealt with head on, not from a observational space. So you could think of any of the rights that were attained for anybody in America too, not just the world, America in particular, right? So all of the other races of the people and blah, 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 we found some way to organize and fight for them and help them get their rights and all of that, and all of them left. All of them took what they needed to take from the quote-unquote civil rights movement, they left, right? So that 100-year time span between 1920 and 2020, everybody who wanted to get something off of the backs of Black people in America, they came and got it, right? So our sojourn in America from 1865 to 1965, we got it on our own. Nobody, in every single juncture that we started, every single town, every single place that was built, all of these things that happened, right? Us contending with the Klan, us contending with the police, us contending with fire hoses, us contending with the National Guard, the United States military, the FBI, and the CIA. We had all of that plight struggle on our own. Nobody interjected, right? There's no rap. There's no hip hop. If these instruments weren't taken out of inner city schools and all of those things, right? Oh, so when you build up something, all of a sudden everybody comes like, yeah, we got a shared struggle. So I can understand the frustration of black people in America. That frustration of black people in America again lends to the international struggle. It lends to the Pan African struggle. It lends to the Palestinian struggle. It lends to all of those struggles. But if there is not some sort of support and solidarity with the plight of black people in America, I can see why there's an upheaval, why there's some sort of something that's going on here. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody else has a place to go. Everybody else has a place to call their own. Everybody has their own identity. All we have is an identity in crisis here. So the outcry about organizing around doing for self is something that can't be ignored. I understand the global Pan African plight as much as anybody else. And I also understand the plight of the folks that are here that have this outcry about their own cultural identity and how they want to be identified.
You know what's interesting about that too, because I do agree with you. But just to add to that also, um, you know that a lot of people, not even just inside of hip hop, but also inside of the like Black Panther movement and the civil rights movement,
Mm-hmm.
actually were black people that was from other places.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, as it relates to the black and latino people who were part of the Black Panther movement, and everything like that, who did fight for black, for rights for black people in America. I would say also people who were involved with hip hop, because I know you did mention that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of people who were inside of um hip hop who were black and Afro Latino and different stuff like that, and black people from other places like Jamaica and stuff like that. Even if you talk about somebody like Louis Farrakhan, because I know that his father was from Jamaica, from
Mm-hmm.
what I understand. So there was a lot of black people that was from other places. That did fight for black people in America. So I do believe that we do got black people that was from other places that did fight for the struggle of black people in America as well. So I know like that we say, that they took what they wanted and they kind of left with it and stuff, but there were some that stayed and fight with us. You know what I'm saying? There was some that stood with us in a lot of those struggles and stuff like that. I would say, the reason that people say black and brown is because of the fact that there was Afro Latino people who kind of didn't have a choice but to stand with us and fight with us because they was going through some of the same stuff that we was. So, you know what I'm saying? But I do understand what you're saying as far as people feeling like we do need to laser beam in on our focus. I think too, though, we do have to pay attention that, even in America, with the stuff that we went through, because we did have a unique experience, right? And are having a unique experience. Um, but I think we also forget about the black people that's in Jamaica, or the black people that was in, Latin America and stuff like that, that had those horrific experiences. If we're talking about Haiti, if we're talking about, Brazil, if we're talking about in Jamaica, where they did have those horrific slavery experiences as well. Um, so we did have a horrific experience, most definitely, and the Ma'afa is definitely real. I think too, though, that we have to understand that we are not unique in having a horrific experience too, you know.
I definitely understand that. There's a symbiotic relationship between the mother continent and the diaspora, and particularly here in America, between the 1400s to the 1700s, right? It's
Mhm.
undeniable.
Yeah.
And it's a hidden history that we aren't told about. There's also, though, a more recent symbiotic relationship between Black people and the diaspora and the mother continent in particular from 1957 to 1977, where Black people here in America were chiefly responsible for financing and acting in the aid of the revolutionary acquirement of West Africa. So now we have symbiotic relationships that go back and forth, right? Back and forth. So Sierra Leone and other places like that were inhabited chiefly by Black people that left America in the space of repatriation. When we look at repatriation timelines, we could go to Ethiopia, that's 100 years. Some places, a couple of 100 years. There's headway both ways, right? And at the helm of it, we understand that our enemies are there intermingling and feeding negative thought patterns about both of us to one another, right? So, we looking at National Geographics and they're looking at, us in the inner city, and they're showing abject poverty in regards to that, and then they're warned about us, and we're warned about them, quote unquote. So, a lot of these negative sort of thought patterns are exacerbated by enemies because they profit off of both of us being in the condition that we're in, right? So there's a inner marriage of this internal strife and hatred that exists there that were pushed upon by Black organizations, whether they were on the continent or they were here, about one another also.
That's
So
true.
many of the Black organizations, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, were not Pan-African organizations. You understand? They had negative attitudes towards Africa as well, and they pushed and promoted them also. So there's a lot of underlining things that are there. So before we could get Black and brown or Black and red or Black and whatever we want to call ourselves in regards to poor and oppressed people, there are still Black conditions amongst Black people that have to be fixed amongst Black people before we can reach out our hand, because the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was the last revolutionary party to come into existence in the 60s, and that birthed the Brown Berets and the Gray Panthers, right? So the Brown Berets, they were doing what's in the benefit of their race. So when they say Black, brown, and all oppressed people, and they say all powers of the people instead of Black power, it takes something that was niche and make it something that's inclusive of everybody. So the Gray Panthers was the gay and the lesbian white movement. You understand? So these are all of these things that were birthed out of something with Black people standing up for themselves here, right? And then adding to the world struggle, the Pan-African struggle. You see what I'm saying? So again, cultural continuity, having an understanding of all of these things and all of them being interconnected, we now find ourselves, with this thing now when folks are looking to identify themselves one way or the other, there's someone coming in interjecting, right? There's somebody coming in saying, well, what about us in this situation? Right. So a bunch of those things kind of came out. And I think reparations is a topic that kind of brings all of those things to a head and to a helm. You understand? So yeah, I can see a lot of those little things. And again, as we discussed last week, these aren't new situations. These are age old that we can date back to the early 17th century and beyond in regards to identity, particularly here in America. So it's one of those spaces that brings a lot of that to identity.
All right, Joe, you got the next question.
I was like, I gotta ask a question after all that. So we might as well discuss it now. What are your thoughts on reparations and who qualifies for reparations?
Oof. Okay. I have a pretty controversial viewpoint as it relates to reparations. To to be honest with you, I feel like, are Black people in America owed reparations? Absolutely. After all these years, are we likely to get reparations? I don't know. I don't know if after all of these Black movements have went by, after all of these years have went by, after all of this, are we likely to get them? Are we likely to hit just the right white person that might, you know what I'm saying, decide that, you know what, after all this time, we should give them reparations? You know, I'm just thinking they look like they could use it. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess in my mind, you know, do I feel like it's likely to happen? I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like if that was going to happen, they could have given it to us right then. It would have been cheaper to give us 40 acres and a mule. If it was going to happen, it could have happened during the civil rights time period. If they wanted everybody to calm down, they could have said, hey, look, we don't want y'all to come to our bathrooms, but how about this? We'll just go ahead and give y'all reparations to get y'all to calm down. If it was going to happen, it could have happened during the 60s and the 70s when it was the Black Power movement and everything. They could have done it to, you know, pacify us at specific points in time. You know what I'm saying? At this point now, when they basically got Black people where they want us to be at, when they basically got Black people doing all the things they pretty much want us to be doing, are they likely to pay us now? They don't necessarily have to. As far as who should get reparations, that's an interesting question. I've heard, as it relates to the FBA movement, as far as them pushing for reparations, the main thing that they're saying is only people who can trace their bloodline back to the 1875 census, I believe it was 1875 census. However, I think that there are Black people that are here that have had the Black American experience, that have lived the Black American experience, that have dealt with oppression and stuff, that may have their bloodline be from somewhere else. And I say that because I know people who were not born here, right? But they were raised here. They dealt with the experience of police brutality. They dealt with being locked up. They dealt with, you know what I'm saying, white people calling them nigger and all of that stuff. There may be Black people who, even as far back as, you know what I'm saying, the whole segregation movement and everything like that, they may have, you know, come here during that time. You know what I'm saying? So their bloodline may not trace back to the 1875 census, but they lived the Black American experience during that time and up until, you know what I'm saying, up until now. So yeah, pay us all. If you're going to pay us, you might as well pay us all who had to pay for being brown skin, black skin in America. You know what I'm saying? For being a Black person in America, whether we was from here or not, and dealing with the oppression. Because I feel like there was Black people from Jamaica, there was Black people from Trinidad, from Haiti and stuff like that, who was brutalized in America. You know what I'm saying? And who had to deal with all the oppression and the conditions of being, you know what I'm saying, living in Black America and everything like that. And so, you know, if we're going to get reparations, pay us off. That thing still gonna crack me up every time. And I know that I have a controversial viewpoint on that. I know that everybody's not gonna kind of share that viewpoint, but you know, that's just how I feel as it relates to that.
If you're gonna pay us all. Bomb. Okay. That was my bomb for the night. So what else you got? Where the deep questions at? You said you had some deep ones.
Oh man, you don't think my question has been deep up until now?
No. You've been playing nice with me. I think you're trying to get a part 3. I think we could do a part 3.
Hey man, listen. I'm hanging in there. I'm kind of sick today, so I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to hang in there, so forgive me.
Doing an
I
amazing
done
job.
caught the flu, man.
Give it
It's
back.
kicking my butt. I'm hanging in there. Okay.
That flu, they can have it back.
All right, I got some more for you. So, my next question. Okay, I got a deep question for you. What do you think about Trump making there be only 2 genders as far as male and female? What do you think about him basically signing the executive orders and stuff like that so that there can only be 2 genders? Because I know that during, you know what I'm saying, a lot more liberal eras, they kind of switched stuff up so that it would be very, very expressive as far as people wanting to use different pronouns, as far as people wanting to use different forms of gender and different stuff like that. What do you think about the fact that he is now making a push for there to only be 2 genders?
Have there ever been more than 2 genders?
I'm telling you, man. I done had to try to get accustomed to it. People have told me
I
all
don't
types of stuff.
know. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I've been out to lunch or something. You know, when
Man,
I
it's
took
them and people who got canceled. J.K.
when I
Rowling, right? J.K.
mm,
Rowling is somebody. She wrote the Harry Potter books and stuff. She actually got canceled. People was mad at her because she said these words, just simply this: gender is a fact. They got mad at her for saying that because there's people who feel like they was born the wrong gender. There's people who feel that they should be able to pick whichever gender they want to be, right? But not just
mm,
that, they feel like there should be more than 2 genders. And so I guess that from what I understand, now things are kind of coming back into a sense of no, there's just 2 genders. There's just male and female. Also, he was changing things to where then, men are not allowed to, like, trans women who are actually born men, biologically men, are not allowed to perform it, to be in women's sports and stuff like that too. So
yeah. I mean, it's simple, right? You don't want young men being in there with young women. You understand? Like, I mean, it was tough. Ever since we were young, whatever you decide to identify yourself with or whomever, make that segment of society and do it like that. Like, if that's what you want to do, then okay. I'm not for a capitalist society. A capitalist society sees everybody and everything in it as capital. So these things, they appear to be liberal, but they have a capital game, right? They have a capital game. They have a capital agenda. So they're capitalizing off of the mental well-being of a segment of their society and saying, "Oh, this needs to be pushed in the forefront," right? So back to what I was saying about 1865 to 1965, black people were fine in this country, aside from isolated incidents. There was a group of people that was looking to make their plight become a plight that they could tie in for civil rights. And they came to black people and said, hey, you should be able to use the same restroom, right? You should be able to go to these schools. You should be able to shop in this store. You should be able to ride into the same place on the bus. We didn't have no issues with any of that. So that part of inequality, quote unquote, was pushed, and we started to feed into that, right? We started to feed into those things about voting rights and equal pay and all of this other stuff that was going on, right? And it became a tug of war. It became a tug of war, right? So now we're looking at this society that we have that's already segmented within ourselves, and then we're going to add some more segmentation and say, "All right, you're just gonna start doing this right here," and then it's okay until it's harmful, till it's harmful to the person, until it's harmful to the people
Mm.
that's around them. You see what I'm saying? This is where it becomes an issue, and the people who enact the law, right? The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, they're amendments. They're not laws. They couldn't even enforce those laws, but they found a way, quote unquote, over these past couple administrations to enforce this.
Mm.
You're still not even seen as a human being, right? So a nightstick or a taser or a police mace or a gun is all the same, whatever happens, right? But these things can happen, and people can be taken without incident. So you're telling me in just with that alone, you're going to add to that something else where it's a further delusion from what the roots of it is already. So you already got this right here, and then you add 4 or 5 subsections of this right here. Now you got half of the alphabet to identify
Mm.
one space of psychosis, and the rest of the population is supposed to try to figure out what do I say about this, and this. In the same society, right? So all of those things right here, and it's like I sign a piece of paper, and then magically, oh, all of it's supposed to disappear. It's not going to disappear. It's just saying what's being called to the
Mm.
forefront, right? Because no piece of government legislation ever stopped a police officer from killing an unarmed black man, woman, or child, or sicking a police dog on them, or the fire hoses that came from firefighters, or the ambulances we were brutalized in the back of. No piece of legislation stopped the Tuskegee experiment or redlining or any of these other things, these black codes, whatever they were. No piece of paper stopped it, right? So now when we look at this space in regards to this, it's supposed to be pandemonium. But we've been in America a long time. You understand? We've been in America before America was America. So when you look at those, aspects, right, and from those particular standpoints, this stroke of the pen that presents is something that, like, I'm like, you really needed somebody to tell you that. You needed somebody to sign an executive order to tell you that. Like, all right. So that was just interesting that it's all kind of what you call it, pandemonium and craziness with that. And then did we talk about the DEI thing? Can I did we talk about that? Can we just go to that for you? Like your thoughts on the DEI
Oh,
thing?
okay,
Just
you
having
gonna
to
hit me
deal
with
with,
that? All right.
just I had to deal with 17 genders and no
You
new
was like,
people.
okay, you gonna hit me with this? I got one for you. All right, cool. Um, I felt like the whole DEI rolling back thing got kind of dramatic in its inception. What I mean is that when it first got signed and all the businesses started rolling back on their DEI agendas or whatever, it got people's response got dramatic to it. But I think that after a while, Black people started realizing that it didn't necessarily even apply to them. I think that they realized that the whole DEI agenda had more to do with, from what I understand, it really had more to do with women, disabled people, different stuff like that, right? But it didn't necessarily stop all those people from getting jobs. I know that Trump brought it up again as it related to the whole thing with the airplane crash and stuff like that in DC, which I thought was ridiculous because he's like, yeah, see, this is why we need the DEI rolling back situation. And I thought that was ridiculous because from what I understand, the pilots were all white men, so it wouldn't even have necessarily applied to them. I do know that there was some white men like Elon Musk who felt like the whole DEI thing was racist against white men, which is kind of crazy because a lot of the time, white men are the ones who own the companies and they're the ones who are in charge of whether people get hired or not. So, but as it relates to that, I remember one of the biggest things when it started that involved Black people at least was the whole thing with Tabitha Brown, and people was mad at her because she basically was saying, "Oh, wait a minute, y'all saying y'all gonna boycott Target? Hold on, like it's a lot of Black businesses like mine, you know, who are in these stores still, and so." I don't know. I felt like the response to it was kind of dramatic. And I use the word dramatic only because it got a lot of publicity. And sometimes when something gets a lot of publicity, you have to wonder, is there an agenda behind it? Why are they putting so much of a spotlight on it? Why are they putting so much attention behind it? And of course, it happened right at the beginning of Black History Month. And of course, they had the whole thing as far as first the whole rumor as far as Trump canceling Black History Month. So you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they be setting you up and they put these things back to back and it's a lead up, so that's my answer for that. I need one of those so I can hit you with that. All right, I got a question for you.
Dramatic folks over here being dramatic, okay?
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got a question for you. I'm gonna actually change up the lanes here. And I'm gonna take it into a whole different direction. So, in the past couple of years, there's been a discussion on the whole 50-50 in relationships versus more traditional roles. The reason being is that usually a lot more women are against the whole 50-50 thing. If they are, they usually are not really trying to they usually are trying to be 50-50 with everything else as well, like any type of authority, anything like that, right? Um, there are people who are for the more traditional roles as far as men doing one thing, women doing another thing. But there are people who are choosing to do the 50-50 thing as far as both contributing financially primarily. What is your viewpoint on that?
Oh, man.
Laughing at.
You get who you choose, okay? These are questions that y'all supposed to sift through and sort out before anything happens. So you know if you were the bum or not, okay? If you were the
Right.
bum, you know that you were the bum, okay? So egalitarianism, I promise, at its foundational space is something that's very important. I didn't even know that these topics existed until I came into the internet. I was like, what? You people do what? They want what? Oh, what? And they're supposed to what? What? I was like, there's men saying that? They're like, yeah, man. It's like it's a bunch of men. And you know that. I was like, oh, really? So it's like, these things are interesting. So now we have to look at the rearing and the examples, the rites of passage ceremonies, the things that are happening, and the modeling of manhood amongst Black people. I ain't thinking about nobody else. They do whatever they want. For Black people, for Black families, for a Black future. When we look at egalitarianism, we look at due regard, equal regard for every role within the family dynamic. There's a role and responsibility and a set of accountability standards for our elders. There's roles and responsibilities for our ancestors. There's roles and responsibilities to nature in us. All of those things set up what is ideal in a Black family dynamic, right? So now when you look at men, when you look at women, when you look at children, all these roles and responsibilities and due regard for each role and your ability to be able to be participative in all of the roles. So when you look at a society functions like a household because this is where the community comes from, right? This is where the society comes from. This is where the state comes from. This is where the nation comes from. This is where the country comes from. It comes from the household. So the roles and responsibilities in regards to the household, they have to be something that you're able to take a look at and see what it is. If you raise up young men to be protectors and maintainers of women and have a responsibility to society, and they're fortified and forward, and they go through that rites of passage from boyhood into manhood, and they regard manhood, and they regard boyhood, we won't have these discussions, right? If you have young women that you take through rites of passage programs and they come up in a society and they revere womanhood, they revere motherhood, they revere sisterhood, they revere girlhood, everybody will know how to select each other, okay? What kind of open-ended critical questions to ask one another. So we don't find ourselves in these positions where we're settling or the family dynamics aren't involved in the process, from the ancestral to the elder to the family dynamics to the children, right?
Yeah.
So two nations come together to increase the reign. So we never really got away from that. It's just when we go out off on our own and decide to be prodigals, then we catch ourselves out there. I really was bugged out. So I said all that to say in short, like, fam, man, if you are looking to approach a woman to have her in your life, fam, you better know what that comes along with. You better know what that comes along with. Know what that duty and responsibility is to that family, because when you're looking at a woman, you're looking at a nation, right? So if the adage is true, a nation can rise no higher than this woman. When you come to that woman, you're looking at a nation. That's how you build a nation, fam. That's how you call father. That's how you call husband.
Yes.
That's the other half of calling you man. Like, come on, fam. Like, what are you talking about? What are you discussing? You understand what I'm saying? 50 what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Right? So it's really bugged out how these things, they become, topics of the evening and all of this back and forth around something that is simple. I can hear and see where the breakdown was and where it is. And I can still see your traumatic response to it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yo, fam, like, be by yourself. If I catch you around one of these women, I'm gonna have to take you up out of here. You understand? Like when that kind of space of accountability is there, if there's somebody there that's amongst you that can help you heal, that can seek to reform you, all right. But if it ain't, because that's going to lead to a whole lot of other things that's going to happen. That has been happening, the abuse, the neglect, and all of the disrespect that's going on out here. So, are we going to continue to have nations that are built like that based off of some food? Or are we going to eradicate that?
Understood.
That's me being short with it. Right? 50-50.
I got you.
There's only one place in the world y'all could go 50-50. Okay? That's it. Everything else is 100.
There you go. There you go. All right.
All right, so we doing one more question each, huh?
All right, you got the next one.
All right. All right. So for Black people who have different spiritual or religious backgrounds, upbringings, ideologies, and they come together and they want to start a family, or they might already have some family, what sort of due regard should be given on the input of how the children should be raised?
Well, I think that you mean, what do you mean, like them like coming together inside of a family and them having two different religious beliefs?
Right.
Okay.
Religious or spiritual, however it goes.
Well, I would say first and foremost, there has to be a lot of conversation, because inside of that conversation has to be the understanding of what principles do we want to teach to the children? What parts of each spirituality or religion do we want to give to the children? First of all, you have to make sure that the way that you practice, or that what you practice, has an open door to be able to embrace something else. For instance, my husband is Muslim. And because of that, there are certain principles that he does want to give to our children, right? But he's very open to the different African spiritualities that I'm bringing as well. And as a matter of fact, he's very embracing of that as well, to be able to say, I definitely want to give this to our children side by side with that. So being able to have those conversations early on is something that helped us to be able to say, how can we craft this so we can know what parts of each thing that we're going to be doing are we going to be giving to our children, and what's the parts that's the most important to be able to pass down. You know what I'm saying? So there's a strength and a discipline inside of, my husband and him being the one that carries Islam. You know what I'm saying? That he definitely wants to make sure that he passes down to our children. And as far as African spirituality and ancestor worship and everything like that, we are definitely, that's something that we both are really trying to implant in our children, as well as, just reverence for the creator and becoming stronger inside of themselves. So that's really, something that I would say you really have to put a conscious effort into. You really have to have a strong understanding of what it is that you want to give to your children. And I would say, if you can, it's a conversation that you do want to have in advance, so that you know what I'm saying? So that you're not figuring it out along the way. Bars.
War. Serious bar. Sheesh. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh
man,
yeah. You know, it's a journey. It's something that you wouldn't have to spend a lot of time mapping out. But it's important that you do that because in the long run, you know what I'm saying, your children can benefit. So, absolutely.
So you got one of them final dope deep questions, the super deep one, the one that you were saving over here.
Man, listen, we got pretty deep today. Um, Let me ask you this. For people who didn't grow up in the streets, didn't grow up around a lot of the atrocities that people experienced in the streets, for people who didn't grow up in those type of environments, but try to speak for those people who didn't have to go through what those people went through, but try to speak on the behalf of those people and try to tell people what they probably feeling. What would you say to those people?
Good luck. Okay. Good luck.
Hey,
But the lawmakers, the lobbyists, the policymakers, all of them, they all do it, right? Most of the psychologists, most of the school teachers, most of those folks that are in interface and positional authority, they generalize.
well,
So
I agree with
well,
you. Actually, though, who I'm talking about is other black people. I'm talking about other black people who will try to speak on their behalf.
I guess they try, right? They try. You see what I'm saying? They ain't got a black woman at home, and they try to speak about folks in black relationships. You
Right.
understand? They don't got black children, but they try their best to speak. They try, right? They try, and you know most of the time they fail, right? They fail. So, um, do you have to be from that environment to speak about or to that environment? 9 times out of 10, yes. 1 time out of 10, no.
Hmm.
1 time out of 10, no. It depends on what's written. Um, Nathan McCall had that book, Make Me Want to Holler, right? He gave such an insight. Sangeeta Shakur, who was known as Master Cody, peace and blessings be upon him. He came out with a book, about his life in the street. You could read Blood in My Eye. You could read, some of these books that are out here and get a snapshot. So now, in that instance, what you should be doing is going to ask questions.
Yeah,
Find some open-ended questions to say, okay, what I gathered from my research is blah blah blah. You
that's the
understand what
part.
I'm saying?
That's the
Versus
part.
just going out there just making generalizations. Unless you have created an organization that brings people in from the street to reform them, that might be something as well. Unless you created an organization that uh, your target audience, your target demographic is, you know, at-risk youth or people trying to leave the gang life or folks that are quote unquote returning citizens from the prison industrial complex. If you're organized like that, then you again, it doesn't say that you have some sort of insight. You should be going to get to with questions to get the insight and say what I gathered from the research, what I gathered from my dialogues from these
Yeah,
particular people is this.
because you still
You
have to
see?
have some sort of engagement with them and ability to relate to some
Right,
degree or another.
right. So yeah, I understand. I understand. Some so that don't stop folks from talking. Everybody who has a device in their hand,
I'm
either they're
telling
good
you,
with it or divisive with it. You understand? So it's like, all right,
man. Listen,
it's what it is.
no doubt. And I wanted to ask you that because more recently with everything that's going on in these neighborhoods with
Mhm.
You know, everything that's going on with the neo-Nazi thing and how Black people responded. It's funny to me because what I'm seeing, and this I never expected to see, a lot of people who consider themselves to be Black Power revolutionaries and stuff are kind of putting their stamp on what the Black people did there. To be honest with you, you know, it probably didn't have anything to do with them being revolutionary, with them being Black Power, anything like that. They saw something, they got angry. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of the people who saying, yeah, because, you know, they banging against the white man. It probably wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? It probably wasn't something so planned out. It probably wasn't something so organized. It probably wasn't because they had the same information. But I think people who are not from those neighborhoods, it's so easy for them to take the pain and the anger of those people and try to classify it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, when they see those neo-Nazis, when they see people, you know what I'm saying, with masks on and guns and stuff like that, first of all, anytime they see white people in the hood with guns is police. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's easy to try to think that you know what they thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to say, well, it was because, you know, our people just got organized. Maybe after the fact, but in the moment, it was because they was angry, they was triggered, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I feel like sometimes people will try to think that they know what those people is feeling. They'll think that they know, you know, what Black people who had to live in those environments are feeling, or what they go through, or why they respond the way that they do. And it'd be Black people. It'd be Black people who will try to put a classification on what those people are feeling. But I just want to get your take on that because I've been having some conversations about that recently as well.
Yeah. Everything don't need to be said, okay? Just because you think it don't mean somebody need to hear
But social media has made people think the exact opposite.
it. Right? By design. So final thoughts for you and your platform. You know how you do at the end of the video. I'm gonna leave my social media like I always do. Okay.
Come on, man. Well, if I had to say final thought, I'm always grateful to be able to come on here because, you know, you give a platform where we are able to, you know what I'm saying, dissect a lot of these things. I also appreciate the conversations with you because I know you have a lot of information, and so your insight comes from a place of being educated on a lot of these things. So I always have an appreciation for that. As it relates to my platform, I really am trying to build up numbers, but also build up engagement. I really like to hear what everybody thinks. um so I am on all platforms. You can type in Empress Eshe and you can find me. Um, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff. If you put in Empress Eshe, I should pop right up. YouTube, I'm on there as Empress Eshe Obasi as well. And go ahead and you know, check me out on all of those platforms. I have my videos and stuff. Sometimes I will throw some posts and stuff on there as well on Facebook and Instagram. But um also, you know, like I mentioned before, me and my king is really working on building up our music thing and stuff like that too. So we got Obasi that's also on Facebook and Instagram as well. And you can check us out on there too. You know, we really are trying to build up making music, and we say that we are Afro international because we are really trying to expand our sound to different types of sound and different types of feelings. And we will be at the Black Wall Street event in Cincinnati on February 20th, opening up for Umar Johnson. So if y'all are in the area, I want y'all to check that out too. But he just gave y'all a snapshot of my YouTube. I definitely want y'all to do what he just did. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get on there and, you know what I'm saying, check out all the videos and stuff like that. I got a wide range of topics because I really want to be able to catch everybody's attention. You know what I'm saying? As much as I possibly can, of course. um, you know, really try to relate to everybody and really try to stay in tune and in touch with what everybody might be thinking, feeling, everything. So that's me.
Empress, honest to you, honest to your royal family. Y'all continue to be magnificent out there. You understand doing what y'all doing. Black loving. All right. Black loving and black living for real, for real. All right.
Absolutely.
And I'm be bothering you one of these days to come back on. You understand what I'm saying? Because it feel like it ain't over. It feel like it's still some other stuff that's on the docket that we need to look at, that we need to talk
Hell
about. You
yeah.
understand what I'm
Hey
saying? So,
man, listen, whenever you want me to come on here, I'm always ready. Just let me know.
at least one more time before Black History Month over with. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh
Because
yeah,
after
we
that,
gotta get
the
back up
folks
here.
who that was upset about Black History Month being canceled, they're gonna stop being black at February 27th. Okay,
See?
because the 28th they're gonna you gotta catch them. I gotta catch them one more time. So you let me know, and we'll set it back up.
All right.
Gotta take advantage of this black moment. Okay, be
Oh yeah.
black-tastic in this black moment. All right, for real. So yeah, so. Honest to you and your family. Much love and continue to win out here. All right. So we out, y'all.
Peace.
Till next time. Peace.
Meditate with me, king. Elevate with me, please. We gon' go so far. We gon' touch the stars. Meditate with me, king. Elevate with me, please. We gon' go so high. Magically we rise. Close your eyes for me, let me hold your hand. Frankincense in my room at night. Music is cleansing your soul. Holy water in the bowl. Listen to the rhythm of your heartbeat. Kiss you with magic, baby, so sweet. Manifestation and peace. Love how divine this be. Ooh, I love when I'm shining with you. This is bliss when I'm vibing with you. Chakras lit, I feel so alive. Grasp the stars between your heart and mine. Meditate with me, king. Elevate with me, please. We gon' go so far. We gon' touch the stars. Meditate with me, king. Elevate with me, please. We gon' go so high. Magically we rise.
So my homie called me and say, Ty, I know you down there with all that foolishness going on. What the deal is? What you got to say about all that? I said, I've been saying the same thing since the late 80s, early 90s, all the way to now. You know, as far as Africans, where Garvey went wrong at, y'all, where his plan was wrong at. You know? But as far as me and my family, they ain't touching us.
Roosters in the front, check. Goats in the back, check. Shrines on point, my crew is on track.
Okay.
A Joshe on my chest, my nation repack. And cracker tried, I lay him off flat. I say roosters in the front, check. Goats in the back, check. Shrines on point, my crew is on track.
Okay.
A Joshe on my chest, my nation repack. And cracker tried, I lay him off flat. Hey.
G-O-D, emotions is stable. My DNA derived from the cradle. Got proof, no spoof, flukes or fables told. I hold rank, invaders I disable. Soon as my meds drop, heads rock. Go against my grain, buddy, you bet not. Behold, the grand wizard of the wizardry had them where they was kissing me once, now they dissing me. Really? Once, I would've went haywire. St. Elmo's firing on the entire crew for everything they do. Prior to the present mind state I acquired, way higher. Now I know better, so I grow better and do better. Whether endeavors are beneficial or not, turn ills to new hot records. Hold up, y'all must have forgot. Give me a second, y'all.
Roosters in the front, check. Goats in the back, check. Shrines on point, my crew is on track.
Okay.
A Joshe on my chest, my nation repack. And cracker tried, I lay him off flat. I say roosters in the front, check. Goats in the back, check. Shrines on point, my crew is on track.
Okay.
A Joshe on my chest, my nation repack. And cracker tried, I lay him off flat. Hey.
The Lord of the Lords used to ball till I fall, then I pause for the cause and about face. Kept it raw to the core, then they jaws hit the floor when they saw what I brought to the black race. We ain't black, it ain't a race, okay. I'm gonna pay for English language debates, trying to communicate. They courtroom is like monosodium glutamate. I discarded, cracker laws is garbage. Remember that. On my shrine stay fed, homie, I'm too devout. Confident with the force, so I be cooling out. Soon as the pigs step up running they doodle mouth, I hold my nose while my ancestors shoot it out. Yep, and bang bang on the cracker gang. We the top shotter like Khufu. Let them hang juju. It ain't a thing, you rolling with the all-knowing. So pardon me for all the showboating. I got
roosters in the front, check. Goats in the back, check. Shrines on point, my crew is on track.
Okay.
A Joshe on my chest, my nation repack. And cracker tried, I lay him off flat. I say roosters in the front, check. Goats in the back, check. Shrines on point, my crew is on track.
Okay.
A Joshe on my chest, my nation repack. And cracker tried, I lay him off flat. Hey.
You cannot go without this book, and let me explain why. Voices of the Diaspora, written by Knowledge Born Allah, takes you through countless and countless different blacks. From our scholars, our warriors, our great sisters, and even entrepreneurs. It speaks to the past, the present, and the future. There's even an action plan for us that are serious about businesses that we wanted to take on. Entrepreneurship is one of the first things that he speaks about. And if you're an avid reader, this is a 5-part series. So this is not only a great resource for ourselves, it's a great resource for us as parents. We can teach it and incorporate it into our lesson plans for our children.
Knowledge Bone. What's the science, baby?
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get back to the
motive is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.